That's a Shame is brought to you by the people who support us over at patreon.com/shamecity.
If you have $1,
$2.
$1 to spare, join us again at patreon.com/shamecity. Please.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Hello and welcome to episode 142 of that. Why are you trying to make me laugh for?
I'm not trying.
That's a shame.
I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm just laughing.
Don't laugh at my intros.
No, I'm not laughing at your intro.
You're laughing with it.
I'm laughing at the fact that it's telling as to when and how this is being recorded. That, because the last few you've done, you've tried to like amp it up.
I haven't tried.
To find a
I've
new...
just seen what.
No,
flows.
you have, because you've actively waited, hovering your finger above the record button until you got some. Yeah,
but that's not trying. That's just
no, it really is.
You unhinge your jaws like that Godzilla.
No, but
King
you don't
Kong
do that
for the content bolts to just fire straight down.
But
your
you
gullet.
don't do that. You just sort
Into
of
your gully
stare
works.
somewhere above my head, and then you sing a little song.
Yeah, but everyone has their own process. Anyway, pull up Granny's for special armchair, bring it right into the centre of the room, and
Are you on medication?
Yes.
Are you on the right amount? Are you on enough?
I have told you about how I bought 6 months of unbranded medication from Amazon for £4.
Oh, is this your antihistamine?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but it is fine.
Yeah,
And
antihistamine is one of these things that nearly every pharmacy
Hard to get
in the world,
wrong.
it's really easy
Hard
to
to get wrong is where I was going.
Oh, right. It is the most overpriced item in the shop, apart from start of hay fever season, where you can just buy it for like 10 a penny.
It's pretty good. So if anyone needs any, I've got a great. Maybe we'll do it as a Patreon goal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just a little perk. I'll send you some, whatever it's called.
Not even in the packet, just free.
Pre-licked. Just get the
obviously.
dissolving started
Yeah,
on your
why
behalf,
not?
so you don't have to. Sorry, we're not only late, but we just frankly missed about. Well, it feels like a dozen episodes.
Well, I
or
missed
so.
only one.
It feels like more than one, and that's because the episode that never was the kind of because podcast life begins at the conception of the time when we would record it. Thank you for bringing that up.
all right.
I didn't want to flag it directly because we've never discussed your stance.
The socialists like Andrew Neil, they would have you believing
The loony spectator left. What are they like, those guys? So the episode that never was, that kind of potential that we snuffed out
we aborted.
like those people doing pubs,
terminated.
candle flints. That was going to be probably the new Christ, that episode, the audio Jesus, and now it's
The one that we've got is a real, as I keep seeing people type online, damp squid.
Oh no, do people say that?
People say that. It's the new
There's
chomping
no
at the
other
bit.
type of squid.
No, I know.
That's very silly.
A damp squid is, honestly, I don't even have time to explain to people, because if you're saying damp squid, that there is no help.
You're saying it's too far
it's
gone.
too late.
It does suggest that you are so divorced from the kind of the thinking part of what you're saying that you're just like, oh, this is probably right. Damp squid. Have you ever had an experience of finding out that you've been saying something wrong for years and years at a time?
I'm sure that I have. I can't remember one right now. Why have you? Do you know one that you've got?
There was the one, I'm sure I've told this story on here before, of a person who made it 25 years through life thinking that the word was sachet instead of sachet.
Oh, no.
And for whatever reason, had just been completely insulated from, it's probably, you know what it is, it's millennials, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Safe spaces that people devise
Too busy
where we all
avocados.
say sachet rather than sachet. And so they'd made it that far in life, almost into what, it's a quarter of a century, without anyone being.
You like to
just,
talk about that,
just
don't you?
come over here 1 second. It's sachet.
I have mentioned the person on my English course when we did the German module, who our first lesson we had to do a presentation about Goethe, who's like the German Shakespeare, as it were.
Is that how he likes to?
That's how the Germans like to reference him. really, he was just a little fucking emo kid.
He was the German Alan Titchmarsh.
No, he was more like the German My Chemical Romance.
Wow.
Yeah, but,
Cool.
before them, they copied him. And we all had to come to the first ever session with a 10-minute presentation on him. And this girl got up to do hers first and spent 10 minutes saying goeth.
Oh yes, I remember.
And no one corrected her. And then
Which ironically, Shakespearean.
Yeah. And then everyone got up and did theirs saying it correctly, and she never came back.
She turned into a those white dwarf things where matter just folds in on itself.
Now you are talking about a star, not just
It's 2019,
Caucasian.
so as far as I know, the dwarf jokes, according to your mantra, fair game until the end of.
Well, no, I'm not
the end of
saying
dwarf
that they're
season.
fair game until that point. I'm saying that by then they'll all be eradicated.
Okay, so
It's not racism was fair game
it's
up
really
until the
interesting
civil rights
because
movement.
the way you phrased it, it sounded like you were encouraging everyone.
No, I feel like that's an inference on your part.
Because personally,
rather
I've
than an implication.
never dabbled.
You've
in...
always, in fact, only ever. It's the minority. It's the last taboo.
Yeah, you're so right,
Yeah.
and yet so wrong. We've got sorry is the long and short of
Yeah,
that
sorry
section.
about
Sorry about that. I would say it won't happen again, but you know the score. by now.
Come on, lads.
We have done. We've pre-recorded 4 quickfire shames.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're doing 2 more.
That is good. We've
So
got
there's going to be
the
6
topics
this month.
lined up. Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's pretty huge. So we're trying.
We're not saying be grateful for what you get.
But if you want to tacit shame.city subject line thanks, then that's on you.
Our inbox always open.
Always appreciated. We've got an episode for you today that's going to be filled with
Crime.
crime, sure, but I think also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, there's going to be
Ennui.
a real joie de vivre,
Wow.
just a palpable sense of jollity.
Now, you
and
do
mirth.
French, don't you?
Not at the moment. I haven't done it for a little while, but I am French.
And so they will be taking all your money in that big
certainly
scam.
have. But yeah, is that because you've brought the content? You've been digging in the content trench today, and you've plucked from the earth some foul and putrid tubers.
All I'm honestly hoping for this episode is that I haven't spoken about all of this before. I know I've mentioned bits of it.
If you
in
have, then
part.
I'll give you a funny nod, and you just start making stuff up.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because here's the thing:
almost certainly
they'll
will.
never know.
No, they won't. But I'm pretty sure that I've never told the entire story as a whole. And it's kind of it's just this one mad day
In
that I
Bloxwitch.
had. Not in Bloxwitch.
Okay.
The beginning of another.
Here in Blah.
No. In Münster,
Okay, I don't know.
Germany.
Don't know anything about it. Can you paint one of those word pictures that you love to do? So I'm there. What are my senses doing? Give me some sensory language.
It's like
What can I touch?
it's like June. No, it's
I can't
not
touch
June.
June. That's very abstract.
That's good because it wasn't June. It was April. That was a test. You can.
My hands. I fondle April
Yeah.
like no one's business.
April is the most tangible month, of course.
They've often said that.
And the sun is shining. It's really nice. It's kind of end of the German school year, kind of in April.
It's one of my
end
favourite
it
times.
earlier. I know that you love that
Hell of a
specifically.
What can I taste?
Oh,
here in
nothing.
Munster?
McDonald's.
Maybe the air.
They have the McCafe before we did, you see. So, and I was there on the German exchange.
Uh-huh.
Now,
When you say the German exchange, you make it sound like it's a ritual that all.
it was exclusive
Brits
to
take
my
place
school,
in.
is what I mean. No other school has ever done an exchange to Germany. We pioneered it, and we remain the only ones who do.
Trademarked.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
a hell of an income stream.
Now, for the German exchange, there wasn't really anyone in my German class that I was all that good friends with. I had
come?
Maybe
You were standoffish.
Well, yeah, it's like that thing. If everyone you meet is an asshole, maybe
Well, they're all wrong.
maybe they're all horrible. Yeah, and you're definitely right. No, it was a small class of only about 12 for A level, and I was friends with nearly everyone in it, but I wasn't very close, particularly to anyone. But me and a guy that I knew, who we'll call Alfred.
I don't know about that. It's a bit of an old man.
Well, his real name was Albert, so
Let's call him that.
yeah.
No, let's call him Bertie. Bertie Bots.
So Albert
Bertie
was
Bott's-
on the exchange as well. And I knew him through sports stuff, and he was a nice guy. And our exchange partners were like best friends, nigh inseparable kind of thing. So we got to know each other like reasonably well over the course of this German exchange. And this story takes place
What are
almost
you
entirely
exchanging at this point?
lived experience in that country. They come to you for a week.
Oh,
and a
they
half
come and stay with
go,
you?
Yeah, and then you go and stay with them.
So they come and live in your house?
Yeah.
Horrid to have a random... It's not because they're German, but really
Foreigner.
anyone not from the White Cliffs to John O'Groats. Or, no, I think they're the same direction.
Yeah.
Land's End.
anyone
Is that the other way?
not from the south.
From Dover is what I'm saying. No, I would hate to have as an adult, if my kid was like, oh, can I go and be in France for a week or Germany? Be like, yeah, cool, fuck off you go. But if the caveat is, and also a spotty little 14-year-old French or German child has to come and stay, seems like a lot to ask. How did the Delane family take to that?
No, they took really well to it. We were quite lucky in that the Germans are disgustingly efficient at English and proficient in English. And my exchange partner, she was like a year and a half, 2 years younger than me, because they do it earlier because they're much brighter.
Yeah. Better education.
And from my experience of doing the exchange and like spending a lot of time in Germany when I had a girlfriend who lived there, like German women are much funnier and they grasp things like sarcasm really well, whereas German men don't. They do not get it. It's really like difficult talking to
So you're
them.
saying, and pull me up on this, it sounds like because there's that famous like archetype of Germans just not being funny.
Yeah.
You're saying that's actually a patriarchal lens.
I am saying that it is
and
that.
it's just because when we consider countries as a whole embodied by something, though tokenistically we might call them her, she, talk about the flag in feminine terms, you're actually saying that was just the men being reflected.
I'm saying exactly that.
And
Well
the
done.
German women are jokes.
I'm glad that you picked up on that, and there's no need for the rest of the story.
It's really good.
So her name was Diana.
What are we going to call her in the story? Let's come up with a fun. How about German D? Yeah.
So Diana came to stay with us, and she actually came over a week later than everyone else because she had like a death in the family.
Oh no!
And then got lost. I told her to get lost. And there was an interesting interaction in that, like, so she came over a week after everyone else. They'd already all gone home. So I took her. They come to school with you for like a couple of days. So she came to school. I had German like last period. So we came in, and then afterwards went to meet my German teacher, and they had like quite a pleasant conversation. And she had this kind of like weird smile on her face the whole time. And then as we left, I was like, do you mind me asking why you were like smirking there? And she was like, your German teacher? He's married? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, why? And she went, he is a bit schwul, which is gay in German. He is a bit gay. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you're the first to point it out, but well done. So she came over.
That classic wit there.
Exactly. We had nice week and a half. She went back to Germany.
What do you do though? What's the day to day?
You just take them out somewhere, show them somewhere.
It's strange to have a stranger inflict themselves on you, isn't it?
Well, they don't. It's not so much an infliction.
Aren't they just there all the time?
Yeah,
that's mad. That's
but they
like having a German shadow.
Yeah, but they're like nice. They are people. You know that.
I understand that.
I don't know that you do. I don't think you fully grasped it. So it comes to April. It's time for the return trip.
How long's in between?
About 3 months.
Okay. Oh, so there's a real there's time to do pen pal and stuff.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Send them an email.
Send like Amiibo back and forth.
Yeah.
Exclusive to your country. Here's
I just
German
keep
Pikachu.
sending Warios through.
Oh, imagine Wario and Lederhosen. That would be so
that's a lot.
abysmal.
So it's time to go back. Now,
I had a question. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
In Essex, do they mind about the Nazis a lot? as a
no.
county, do you think?
No, it's a big racist county. If anything, they're
Yeah,
kind
but
of like...
that's part of that old school racist where they can still hate
Oh, yeah, they still hate
every
Johnny
minority,
Foreigner, the Hun.
but also the quote-unquote Krauts.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not a big thing in Essex.
No, it's not like a day-to-day obstacle.
You didn't get any, like... people didn't think you were a Nazi sympathiser.
They did not,
That's
no.
really-
Although she was almost abhorrently Aryan.
Oh, okay.
So-
8 foot,
Yeah, exactly.
blonde as you like,
Blue-eyed.
tiny tash.
Well, yeah, exactly. You met.
You commit.
Yeah.
You commit.
So it comes April. It's the time for the return trip, and we're going over. So here's the small bits of background that you need while you're over there, because we're like adults when we're going over there. As well, we were like 18 by the time we were going over
Wow, that is old.
there. You do a week of work experience while you're out there.
Ew,
I
no.
know,
Oh,
right?
dear.
So I know.
Had a really visceral reaction to that.
Mine was working in a primary school
Uh-huh.
out in Germany.
In what capacity?
Just as like a classroom assistant. And I cannot for the life of me remember what hours was. I think he was just working. I think he was like working for his exchange partner's dad's like firm or something. He was doing something
Some money laundering.
pretty generic or something. Anyway, so you have to do that while you're out there. Now, the other bit of background is that both Albert and I were in relationships back in the old Blighty.
Oh, I see. A lot like they would have been our boys when they went off to the front.
Exactly.
Now done.
Now, my girlfriend at the time was a very sweet girl, and she proposed. I think.
Oh, I see. There was more.
Yeah, she proposed a little scheme that I think many of our boys will have done back in the day.
Our boys in the big war.
In the
greatest war.
And the second greatest war, also, but perhaps not so much.
No, it's a bonus for me.
Which was, we'd only recently started to have sex, the two of us, and
She proposed
She
that
was
you-
sort of very keen that it was a very kind of romantic, very special thing to do, which. It wasn't necessarily my jam, but, I was 18. I looked like a white supremacist. I'd take what I could get,
Off to Germany.
So what she suggested was that for the 13 days that I was away, neither of us was to engage in self-pleasure.
Onanism.
Yes.
Spilling
the seed onto the ground,
Yeah.
onto any kind of underwear that happens to be in the vicinity, onto a tissue.
right up a wall.
Into the bath.
Into a
Onto
ceiling
the
fan,
street.
only to have it spatter around.
Absolutely anywhere. Certainly by one's own hand. I believe there was probably an
feel
unspoken assumption that by anyone else's as well.
And not,
but
there's no loophole where you can get one of those like claws for picking up trash
yeah,
and hold it really high
pop a
above
marigold on it. Hope for the best.
you. Wow.
So
Times is hard.
so I was reluctant, but
It's not implicitly romantic, I've got to say.
no,
this suggestion.
I know, but there were sort of two things that led to me agreeing. One was, I'm a competitive person. I like a challenge. See if I can do this. It's not my usual jam, but there we go. Second thing was, I knew that I was going to be staying. She was going to be sleeping like on the couch or something, and I would have her room. So I wasn't hugely into the idea anyway.
Of masturbating in a child's bedroom.
In a child's bedroom, yeah.
So weird.
Well, it wasn't.
Crazy.
It wasn't hugely my jam. Although,
Now, you keep using this word jam.
with what's to come, it maybe should have been.
Oh no.
So, I get there, and the first night, we all decide to go out. In fact, Albert and I are told that we're going out.
To the hand job museum.
It's not so much a museum as a walk-through
An
experience.
immersive theatre piece.
They redid the Shrek
drunk.
walkthrough, and it really was not all that much of a stretch. So we were going to a place called the Sputnik Halle.
Okay.
And the Sputnik Halle, For those who haven't been to the Munster
No,
Sputnik
I've not.
have you not? No. It's a converted warehouse that is now a club.
Wow, very cool.
Now, because our partners were underage, our exchange partners, I should say.
You should. You really should. Maybe once more.
I'll repeat. Our German exchange partners were not of legal drinking age. Albert and I had to sign these forms that like involved our passport numbers, etc. That literally said that we were their legal guardians for the night so that they could get into this club. So
what a weird system.
I know.
What a loophole.
Yeah, it was.
Just take a baby club. You just say, yeah, it's dad, godfather.
This is my son. He's come to the Sputnik Halle for a good Friday night. So we get there. There's some frightening German bouncers. They look at the forms. They look sketchily at us, and then we're all waved through.
Yeah.
Anyway, like the night went as I'm sure anyone listening could have guessed, in that they had a fucking great time. Albert and I got far more pissed than they did.
Oh no.
We ended up being collected.
I thought Albert would have had more to offer there.
No. Well, also, so we got, and we just, the drinks were disgustingly cheap.
Wow.
I've never drunk tequila since because I had a lot of it because it was like €1 for a slammer or something, and I was just like,
tap.
throw them back.
Draft tequila.
So we got collected by our respective German exchange partners' parents at like 2 a.m.
You get collected by their parents.
Oh yeah, they just drove to come and get us because there was no public transport to take you back.
That's really lovely of them.
Yeah, no, Diana's mum was one of the finest people I've ever met. She was lovely.
Are you still in touch?
No, well, a bit. Like
you could get
every
her
now and
over.
then. Maybe
Next
but
episode.
Maybe not.
Well, we'll see.
So they came to collect us. We're like halfway home, and I get a text from Albert saying that he's just been sick in the back of his exchange partner's dad's car, which is a brand new BMW. And he's done so twice.
Oh no, he's done the double up.
The next day, he informed me that it was the first time he'd ever been sick from booze.
Wow.
So when it had begun to happen, he'd really panicked, not knowing what to do, covered his mouth with his hands, and it had sort of sprayed out sideways like a sort of horrific vomitary sprinkler system.
That's a big error.
So I, in my hubris, texted back a big,
Wow.
you idiot. Got home, went to the loo. I was like brushing my teeth or something. Went to the loo.
Again?
Yeah, just to be sure. And then
Got to empty those pipes out.
began to feel like I might be ill myself.
Oh no.
So
What's for you the first knock at Uncle Daddy's
overproduction of saliva. It's a big one.
Are you very aware of it very quickly?
Yes,
Do you feel like you've
straight
got
away.
a big handle on when you're about to be sick?
Yeah, I know.
Same.
And so I kind of like got off, knelt down. I was kneeling at the bowl, and I was just sat there like, "Oh God, please don't let this be too bad." I really don't like being sick at all. Really hate it.
I'm only half joking.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I actually find it incredibly cathartic. If I'm
don't.
approaching being sick, I want to be sick a lot.
Even when I feel better afterwards and know that I will feel better afterwards, I hate it. I really hate it.
Here's something a bit weird as well that I always do when I'm sick.
Get erect.
I call her.
The Munster Hand Job Museum. Say, lad,
Travelling.
book me a spot. I'm on my way.
I wouldn't know how to get to Munster in a pinch, especially not still vomiting. No, what I was going to say is that I find it quite a disassociative experience being sick.
Like most things in your own life.
No, only a few things. Here are two of them. Kneading bread. I've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever need bread, may as well be on
Knead with a
psychedelic
K.
drugs. Sometimes just a really strong
When one
N.
craves.
God, I need some of that loaf.
You
think?
cannot say a really strong N.
If it's the word need, you can.
Cannot, out of context.
Goodness. Let's keep it in this context, okay? No editing. That's for me to not do. That's one. Kneading bread dough. Really push you over. But also, when you're being sick, and if you're like when I had my kidney stone, and I was throwing up.
Yeah.
There was a day where I was sick about like 12 to 14 times, which is not something I anticipated happening. Because obviously you've done some, you're not a medic, but you've done some like biology.
Indeed.
And you know that the kidneys are sort of like about here-ish where I'm
Yeah.
pointing. And then the stomach, it's not quite in the
Very
same...
much kind of in the middle and above, isn't
weird.
it? Like, yeah.
And you'd think that a little tiny stone in the ureter, no impact on the stomach, but here's the thing: you will vomit all day from just your body's in so much pain.
I was going to say the pain does that, doesn't it? It's a big, yeah.
So it's not.
That's a fun vomit.
It's the stomach just being sick of being where it is. I think it's the stomach's way of trying to get out of you and being like, abandon
It's like
shit.
a gap year.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, see, this wasn't that. This was just, I'd had 16 shots of tequila and some Jägermeister.
That'll do
Not
it
a
as
Jäger
well.
bomb, just straight Jägermeister, which
Horrid.
is despicable
It's like
stuff.
cough medicine.
Yeah, it is like that, but not a nice cough medicine, like a horrible
I
cough
don't
medicine.
know that there is a nice one, but thank you for that.
That one in Mary
insight.
Poppins looked great.
If it were great, though, it wouldn't have needed the spoonful of sugar, famously.
But the thing is, she never gives them that. It's like already in
It's
there.
like the song was the spoonful of sugar.
Exactly. It was the birds we met along the way.
What I was about to say is that when you're sick, a lot of times, and it's like hearty, like cinematic vomiting,
Yes.
where you like, you lean up and there's like, there's stuff like dribbling down your face,
Yeah.
your eyes are streaming,
Your sinuses are clogged.
I always like catch my own eye in usually the reflection of the
Yeah.
the cistern. No, not the cistern. What's it called? Just the
bowl.
water in the bowl. Or over to the sink to like wash your face. And I'm immediately like hurtle out of my own body and you're just watching.
Like Doctor
And
Strange.
you're like, this is cool. It's cool to be sick. Thoughts?
So I didn't have those thoughts.
Ah.
I was quite inebriated. And instead what happened was I passed out
That's option B.
/ fell asleep.
Well, that's the nice way. Of
So,
putting it.
and what I woke up to was Diana's mum kind of like shaking me awake, being like, Declan, are you likely to be long? Diana needs to use the
Are
bathroom.
you likely to be long asleep on the floor?
Yeah.
That's a lovely way of expressing that.
And I was like, no, I'm going to bed. And she's like, okay, good. And she left. And it was only then that I realized that I was completely naked,
Oh no.
curled up in the fetal position on the bathroom
Oh, dear.
floor. That for some reason unknown to me then and now, I'd taken my shorts off to be ill.
Wow. To vomit, which is not
To vomit.
traditionally
Not how it-
a lower half action.
No, although in my life has on more
No
than
need
one
to
regrettable
explain
occasion.
more than that.
It's an out of body experience, let me tell you. You
In a way, a very different, less cerebral way.
so don't go chatting
So the
that
whole-
you're a big cerebro just because
course it
you
is.
fetishize vomiting.
I don't fetishize
Just because
it.
you've
I
had
just-
to in order to make it through the last 4 months of your life.
Here it is again. It's like a Danny Dyer.
You'll love it.
Danny Dyer. That's not who I meant.
So it was a fun night, but it ended in pseudo tragedy. But
Well, you've done a shame.
But one of the things that we gleaned from this night out at the Sputnik Halle, one of the few things that both Albert and I really strongly recalled, was that German girls at the Sputnik Halle
Yeah.
just loved the fact that we were English.
Right. Well, I guess at the Sputnik Halle, it's
Anything will do.
It's a really like scraping
bar-
the bottom of the Sputnik barrel.
The bar can be stumbled over quite easily. But we were both in committed relationships back home.
Yeah.
But what we thought was that we would
But it
use...
didn't count.
Yeah,
it
because
was
if you were in Munster, much like our boys back in the war,
fucking those trenches.
what we thought was we like our last night we had planned to like go out, the two of us with our German exchange partners, and we were like, we could like let's go out for a drink and go on the pull but not on the pull was our
What? That didn't mean anything.
that was our
I think.
t-shirt.
That's on the push.
Well, we just on the assault. was that we would just go out and flirt and
blue
have a good
ball a
time.
load of girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, cool. Fun.
That was our
fun for all the family.
Hey, it was as much fun as we could get. Hey, I wasn't even allowed
not just go bowling?
I was having the ultimate blue ball 13 days.
Wow, hard.
So we were like, yeah, okay, fine. So we fast forward 11 days, and it's the last day of the trip.
Yeah.
Now, there had been some sort of commotion because nobody
All the
else.
sexual tension with the mum. No doubt.
Goodness me.
Because she used to be down the Sputnik Haller in her day.
Yeah.
You should have seen Mrs. Deanna. The way she could get down in those girl lederhosen, which there is no
Dirndls.
word for. No, there is no
Oh,
word
sorry,
for.
yeah.
Sorry,
No.
you
Yeah,
misunderstood.
No. Yeah.
God, it was a sight to see.
And
all
having
the
seen
boys
me
from the village would
nude
come.
on the bathroom floor, she could barely, resist.
Absolutely
herself,
not.
yeah.
She would have called up all the women of the village. Ooh, come and see, and they didn't have Snapchat in those days. But
If they had, oh boy. No, so there'd been a bit of tension because nobody else was going to their work experience on this last day.
Why? They just got...
They just, because it was a Monday.
Was it
and they were
not-
like, we've had the weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going back in for like one day. It was like the
stupid,
last day of the school term or something. And so I was like, oh yeah, I won't. And then like just at 8 a.m. or something, 7:30, her mum like burst into it and was like, right, up you get, work experience. And I was frankly too terrified of her to say otherwise.
Yeah.
So I was like, fine, fuck this. I'll get up and I'll go and do the day and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Now I had been, I can't stress this enough, sick again
You've really
the
spoiled
night before
it.
that.
You've really spoiled this trip.
All over my jeans, which meant that I couldn't wear them. So the only other trousers I had were these grey tracksuit bottoms. So I was like, well, they'll have to do tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt. Got up and
It's a great look at a primary school.
well, it
Doesn't turn any heads.
It was a bad look at a primary school because day 13 was taking something of a toll on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had woken up, as many a man has, in a state of somewhat,
Rigidity.
somewhat visible
Uh-huh.
tumescence.
It's a kind of a groinal praise to the
Yeah,
heavens.
expansion.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, kind of like tuck into the waistband of the underwear and it'll go away any
Fold it under
minute
between
now.
the Buffalo Bill style, between the legs.
No, the other way up, like tucked into the waistband so that it's like nice and invisible, which, worked to some extent, but it's not a foolproof system.
Nothing is.
So it's 45 minutes later and I'm on the bus there and I've not had any relief from this situation.
Interesting.
It's getting to sort of like, maybe think about calling the doctor sort of.
Yeah, well, it's like if the symptoms haven't subsided
Persist
after,
for 3 hours, then do go to your nearest emergency centre.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay. And, there was...
Well, it must
there
have been
was,
a very sexy bus.
well, and, there was some ebb and flow, but there was never any
More
kind of
flow than ebb.
total... Yeah, sadly. And I, rarely in that situation does one wish for ebb, but I was really praying for
Yeah.
a kind of total ebb. And sadly,
Total ebb.
by the time that I arrived at said, let's reiterate primary school,
Yeah.
it was
Full
only
mast.
flow.
Right. That's a shame, isn't it?
And that
Because
was a
is
shame.
by default a crime.
That is very much a crime.
Because now forever you've been erect at a
but
kindergarten.
but it gets worse, of course.
Oh dear.
Which is to say that it was the last day of my tenure there, and it was their last day of term, and I'd been there for I'd created quite a rapport with the class. I was a popular assistant teacher,
Yeah,
and
they often are.
yeah. In all the files.
Really
and
good
so-
gym teacher, great shoulder mass up. What?
So
Hands to yourself.
everyone wanted a hug goodbye, and everyone wanted to sit on Herr Delane's lap during story time, and I was having to push all the children away, and there was really, in spite of my, and I cannot express this enough, total and abject horror at my own situation.
Yeah,
still no relief. It's the thrill, you think of being caught.
But there must be some like buried psychological impulse that relates to how, like the laughing in assembly or funeral phenomenon.
Yeah,
where you're like,
where you're erect at a funeral and you're like, oh God.
Yeah, I had this even just the other day at work where I was hard as a rock.
Giving a presentation.
No, it was the laughter one. But I was just sitting in a room with one other person who's a very important person, and nothing happened. I just had a memory. And as an adult, you have a lot of memories.
Yeah.
And really the apparatus should be in place for you to just be like, yeah, that was funny when that happened. Move on. But because of the seriousness, because of how quiet it was, and because of how long I'd been there, and I was a bit tired and I was hungry, I just like burst out laughing and did the worst like and then had to excuse myself. And then as soon as I came back in after about 5 minutes, I sat down, and then it was like meta comedic, because I was like, so I just had to leave again. I was like half an hour.
I had that in an assembly once. That was like the leaving assembly for this teacher, a maths teacher called Mr. Ward, who'd been at the school for ages. And there was a line of us in a row who'd like had him either as a maths teacher or as like a sub teacher for a while. And he was always quite a funny presence, because, to go back to something we mentioned earlier, he had the proportions of like, and there's no other way to adequately describe this.
Okay.
Of an expanded dwarf.
Okay. That's just a regular height person.
No, but you know how they have slightly different proportions to the body.
Can be. Some types of dwarfism.
And that's like, he looked like that, like someone had clicked on the corner and expanded.
Okay.
And he was just a mad figure. He was like that. He was also a bit like a sort of bulldog, like very jowly and whatnot. But one of the most core facets of his personality was that he had a nearly incomprehensible voice. His like jowls would vibrate and disguise everything he was saying. And there was just a point where the headmaster described him as a fluent communicator, and the whole line of us was gone. And our teacher was just stood at the end, who also found this funny, but was like hitting like me on the end with a hymn book, like, shut up, like stop laughing. And then like, but there's just a whole row of about 8 of us just crying with laughter.
It's the best sort of laughter.
But yeah, well, it is akin to that, but I think of it more as a weird kind of subversion of like performance anxiety, a weird subversion of common decency, where, you know, like the no matter how aroused you might be, like sometimes it isn't happening, and the fact that it isn't happening means that it continues not to happen. Yeah. That the obsessing over that makes it worse. And this time it was the opposite. I have never ever in my life been less aroused, been more desperate not to have an erection, and yet it was the one thing that persisted. Oh. And it was coming up, and they were like, oh, they're going out for their pause, which is their like break time, lunchtime kind of thing. And I was like, and then when we come back, we'll all go over to the bean bags, and Mr. Delane will read to us all. And I was like, this cannot happen.
You're sitting under a beanbag when you come back in.
The guiltiest place of all. So they all went outside to go to their break, and I was sat in the classroom by myself, and I sat there, and I came to the conclusion that there frankly is only one way, only one surefire way to escape such a horrid destiny.
Well, you escape one and really jettison yourself towards another.
Yes, but at least that one was just in my own like heart that I had to fight with that one. And there wasn't, until this episode's released, any kind of huge danger of a kind of legal
paper
proceeding.
Yeah.
And
But
so
they do, like, historical crime is...
oh yeah, no, the statute of limitations
on wanking in a primary school. I think it's forever.
there is specifically for that and that alone no
tiny little bathrooms.
I didn't do it in the kids' bathroom. I went to the staff bathroom, for fuck's sake. Just there in the classroom, in amongst the artwork.
Is that some PVA glue? 9!
Let me sniff it.
Oh dear.
No. So, like a man on his way to the gallows, did I trudge to the staff bathroom. And you know what? It was honestly, it was such a tragic experience that it didn't even need to be done. That as soon as I sat down to begin, I was cured.
Just it's the power of the mind.
It was, yeah, it was like...
It's the experiment Professor Sir Robert
sat
Winston
and just sort of went that he was too cowardly to carry
on his
out.
program exclusively following children growing up.
Well, he never spoke about himself, and I've always found that suspect.
I have always found him suspect, and I don't mean that in a way that you can prosecute me for libelously, and I certainly don't mean to.
I feel like
aspersions.
I think that justification does
something about
hold up.
Professor, something about someone who allows himself to be known as Professor Sir Robert Winston.
Yeah, it's not right.
It's too much.
There's
what are you
there's a lot going
for?
on. There must be a lot more going on.
Beneath the surface. What skeletons and how sizable are they lie in your Professor Sir Robert garden?
So I trudged back to the classroom, debased and ashamed, horrified.
I thought there'd be a spring in your step now that everything's abated.
honestly, so in every sense, bar the most criminal, relieved. So I get back to the classroom and there's like 5 minutes of break time left. So I decided to text Albert to see if he's still up for going out tonight. So I sent him a text and it's a little while and I get a response. It's like, not sure, I'm at the doctor's, will let you know.
Wow.
And I was like, what's wrong? And he messaged back, can't talk now, probably okay.
Okay.
That was all I got. So the kids come back in. There was this one absolutely fucking dickhead kid, and I cannot for the life of me remember his name.
What
I think
age group? Adolf.
Oh,
call him Adolf.
They were like 7.
Okay.
Right. But he was just Adolf. He was a bastard. He was just one of those kids with too much energy, with too much sass, who just wanted
great.
He just wanted to hit shit. And just like...
He's living his truth, okay?
Yeah, he was living his truth, but his truth involved throwing a lot of stuff at me, and that wasn't my truth.
It is funny when you're 7 to throw stuff at...
Yeah, of course. Old, erect.
The big classroom perv.
And anyway, the day came to an end, and we went outside, and I was supposed to be going to Albert's exchange partner's house. Melina, her name was, to make it easier. And I was supposed to be going there at like 5:30.
That's an early start.
They got off. Yeah. Well, it was, we were going to have dinner and then like head out. So it was like 5:30 that I was supposed to be there. It was maybe 3:30 when they like finished school. So they were all waiting for their parents to come and pick them up. So we were playing a big game of football out in the playground. Wow. It was all fun. Adolf, though, was really playing up and he was properly trying some 2-footed tackles. Wow. He was all over the game. He was handballing. He was
I bet he was.
Any law of the game he broke. But perhaps the worst of all was that he went and found another ball. Came back. I scored a screamer. 40
No way, against a bunch of 7-year-olds.
They didn't stand a chance.
Push one to the floor.
Arms in the air to celebrate.
Yeah.
In comes Adolf with this other ball. He is 2 foot away from me.
Yeah.
And he drop kicks this straight at my bollocks.
Oh,
like as hard as he could. And Adolf might have been a dickhead, but he had a proper boot on him.
I bet he did.
To the floor I collapse.
Nice. In
genuine agony. Like it.
Have you considered this was Adolf? This was a direct punishment.
That he was like the kid from The Omen.
Not even that. It's just he'd seen the crime and now
he was enacting
the
vengeance
as required
from like a divine source, or just a real sense of kind of Batman-esque vengeance.
Both of them, but more the second one.
Okay, yeah, it could be. It could be. And had he not
again,
had he not been a huge prick for the entire rest of
it's
the trip,
unfortunate.
Then I might have been willing to believe that. But really, I think he was just sort of chaotic evil.
Okay.
Anyway, I collapsed to the floor. I think like any male listeners will know, when it catches, it catches.
I've never had this experience.
Have you not?
Never.
Oh, God.
I'm very,
you're very fortunate.
careful. I've got the balance of a cat, some have said.
It's not about balance.
It is, because if you're on one of those...
you're balancing your knob away from things coming towards it. Is that it?
But I think a lot of those incidents come in gymnastics classes when you're on those beams.
Nothing. No. I'm talking specifically about a football.
Yeah,
it's happened a couple times. But
you've got to get that hip swivel.
Oh, look, when you get the hip swivel, yeah, that's fine. And sometimes it can like hit, but it's like a bit high and it's fine. And it catches. It's just, it's the way. It's like a gutting, pulling. I was down on the floor. I was like, Adolf, you win. Like, go home. Go home to your family. Pulled myself up. I've still got like an hour before I have to go. Mm-hmm. I walk over and there's a small football pitch and there's a bunch of cunts from the Erasmus program. You ever met any of those people?
No, I'm not familiar with any Erasmus people myself.
No. Well, that's lucky because they are all dickheads.
Why would that be, though?
Because they're all rich people doing language courses where they work for rich people and earn a lot of money doing it.
Nice.
But they were playing football and they were like, I'll come and play. So I came and played, and it was a largely nondescript event, apart from one important factor, which is that
hard as a
rock. Back
round 2, baby.
Adolf's kick to the bollocks had really spawned something
just
in
like
me.
Being stepped on.
No, which is that at one point I had made a slide tackle on the AstroTurf and properly fucked it up and grazed my knee. Mm-hmm. I thought, incidentally, as one does graze a knee, like through the tracksuit bottoms.
Yeah.
Didn't think much of it. Ached a bit, but that was it. So I'm texting Albert. I'm not getting much of a response from him, which worries me, given what he'd said earlier. But finally he texts back. He's like, yeah, it should be all good. Come on over for 5:30 still.
Okay.
So I get the bus out to Melina's house. Ding dong. Albert opens the door and he's looking down and to the right. Okay. Like someone might if they were ashamed.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you're right. And he went, yeah, come in. And I was like, Albert, what are you doing? What has caught your eye?
How was this that he was doing it?
Really, like properly, like down and to the right.
Like a dog that knows it's down.
Like not even bothering to try and make any eye contact upwards, just looking down and to the right. Yeah, and I was like, Albert, I'm not coming in until you explain what's going on.
It's too odd, Albert.
And he was like, I don't know how. He was like, but I have fucked my neck. He went, I cannot move it.
Oh no.
From here. He went, I slept funny. I woke up and I am in so much pain.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. Like he was like, just come in and I'll tell you about it. So I go in and we sit down and we're the only two people in this house, right? The parents are out.
Well, it's
the kids are out on their like muck up day at school for their last day or whatnot. So it's just us. And we're sat there. For some reason, I remember there was like basketball on the telly. It was like ESPN or something. Wow. We're sat watching. So Albert explains that his day has like possibly been as bad as mine, just in a slightly different way. And that he woke up and he was like, I felt a bit of a twinge in my neck. So I sat up.
That's funny, Albert. I woke up and felt a bit of a twinge in my dick. So
and when I say a bit of a twinge, I mean an hours long. And he said, so I felt this twinge in my neck. So I sat up to see what it was and I passed out.
Oh, God. That's a very bad sign.
Yeah. And he went, so I woke up and I was like hanging off the bed. I like sort of passed out, flopping off the bed. And he went, but I was terrified. He went, every time I tried to lift my head a bit, I could feel myself going, like it hurt and I could feel myself going again. He went, but he said, I really, really needed Shit.
Oh no.
he went like, cannot express to you how badly, he said. So he said, I had to keep my head like this and army crawl from my bedroom to the bathroom, he said.
Like
but once I got there, he said, I had to like lift myself up arse first, but keeping like my head on the floor. So, because he's like, I couldn't lift it.
Most horrid images.
I know. And he said, I don't know how I managed it, but I did. He said,
I only shot on 2 of the walls.
the rest were unscathed. I don't think they'll notice. So he said, I crawled back to my room and I got into bed somehow and I called out for Melina's mum. Now, there's some background on Melina's mum that is important here and later in the story, which is that she had a heart attack a few years before and it had stopped blood flow to her brain for a while.
Right.
So when she was fine when she woke up, but had like a little bit of minor brain damage that meant that she had forgotten a bunch of stuff and she was just quite erratic sometimes. And he like called her in and he was like, look, in his best German that he could, like, I'm ill, I'm in pain, I need to see the doctor. So she like took him to the doctor, but she, as part of this kind of like anxiety that she had, she refused to go into the doctor's office with him. But the doctor didn't speak English. And
Good.
Albert was a bright boy, but his German wasn't the sharpest.
This feels like a Nathan for you test.
Yeah.
Like, have you really exchanged enough with these Germans? How is your grasp?
Yeah, it honestly, he was like, he said I couldn't fathom a worse test for my like German, a worse way to revise for the oral exam.
Horrid.
And so he went in and he said that I had like managed to have a decent conversation with him, like back and forth, explained to him what it was. And he like wrote me a prescription. He was like, I've got this stuff.
For what?
It was like a cream to like massage into it. So he was like, the thing is, he was like, I cannot do it. I can't like lift my arm up there. It really hurts. Would you be all right to do it?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, like sure. Like, of course. So he was sat on the sofa watching the basketball, shirt off. I'm standing behind the sofa. I've got this stuff and I'm massaging it into his neck where it hurts. Basketball goes to a break and on comes an advert for this cream that Albert has been given as a prescription.
Okay.
And there is, you know, again, my German wasn't the best, but it needn't have been because from the CGI in the advert, it was patently clear that this was hemorrhoid cream. He had been prescribed. I don't know what he told the doctor. I don't know what the doctor thought was wrong with his neck. I don't know what he thought of Albert looking at the floor for the whole time.
Look at his
own arse.
Like always just going round a corner.
It's
like
right
chasing its own
right down
tail.
here, doctor.
Oh dear.
And I was massaging it in and I was like, Albert, are you watching? And he was like, yeah, I am. And I went, I was like, so what?
Neck, pal?
What do you want me to do? And he just went, well, it can't hurt. Might as well keep going. Wrong. But here's the thing. His neck felt a lot better afterwards. Probably just a massage, but yeah. He swears by the stuff. buys it for the whole family.
His family invested in it.
So he was feeling a bit better and whatnot. And then Melina arrives home and her mum arrives home and her mum like starts.
Did they question why you were massaging hemorrhoid cream into a shirt?
Why everyone stank of hemorrhoid cream? Why it was so flagrantly hard. No such questions, thankfully. They're an understanding family. Yeah. So one of the things that Melina explained to us was that her mum used to be a really, really good cook. And then after her incident, she totally forgot how to cook. But not, forgot how to cook well. Forgot the real fundamentals of cooking. But couldn't recognize that was the case. So she was serving them up like raw chicken in curries and whatnot, and they had to be quite blunt and be like, this cannot be eaten.
Not by people.
And she'd she since like regained everything. She was a really good cook again, but had maintained this really strong anxiety about her own cooking. And was like, she will ask you all the time if it's okay. We're like, oh, that's fine. Diana's turned up. Her mum's washed my jeans. I've got my jeans ready to go out on the town.
Oh, you can't go on the town without them jeans.
No, exactly.
That's what the girls love, isn't it? They always say
it was the Englishness and denim. Yeah. So my knee is hurting a bit, but I kind of like brush it off. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, it's just where I like did that slide tackle earlier. I should be fine. So dinner is served. It's like a kind of goulash sort of thing. Albert and I are opposite ends of the table with Melina's mum in the middle, and then Melina and Diana on the other side. I dip a spoon into the food. I lift it to my mouth. I haven't put it in my mouth yet. And her mum turns to me and is like, "Ist das lecker? Ja? Es schmeckt gut? Ja? Ja, ja." And I was like, "Oh, I haven't, I'm just," and she didn't move. It was like the old lady in the It trailer. How she just finishes the drink and just is stuck in that smile. She was just stuck
dies
there.
in Derry.
Yeah. Like that. And she was just staring still, like mouth half open. And I was like, oh. Well,
goulash dribbling
yeah.
down her face.
So I was there kind of blowing on it. And then and I was like, it was really nice. I was like, oh, it's lovely. She swings the head round immediately to Albert and is like, "Es schmeckt gut. Yeah, es ist lecker."
I have to get some hemorrhoid cream.
And he's like still spooning about like, very good. Every single spoon.
Wow.
She asked. Didn't eat hers for about 15 minutes.
Nice.
But it was really nice. Whatnot. She finishes dinner, she goes and she's clearing it away. My knee is really hurting now. And I'm like, okay, I need to go and get changed anyway. So I go into the bathroom, I take off the tracksuit bottoms, I look at my knee, and it is frankly green.
Green. Interesting colour.
Green with the old pus.
Oh, what?
In that my graze has become hugely infected.
In a day?
In a day.
That's mad.
Like, it was to touch so painful.
Wow.
So I like cleaned it, but I was like, I'm not going out now. Like, I've got to go out. So I've sort of come out the bathroom. I was like, have you got any plasters? She was like, oh yeah, there should be some in the kitchen, she said. I step into the kitchen. It was the most chaotic room in which I have ever been, especially one with no other people in it. There was every surface was covered. Every cupboard was open and overflowing. And there was just no order to anything. Like, open like a drawer and it was full of TV magazines.
Teeth.
TV, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, that was the drawer.
The T in TV, Teeth V, of course, as we call it in this flat.
Sure.
Much to Mark's disgust. There's just like stuff spilling out, but the only thing that there is not in this fucking house is plasters. There's none anywhere. So I have to makeshift with a bit of toilet paper folded up and then sellotaped over the knee. Jeans on. Albert's got a shirt on. We're like,
what a pair.
Let's fucking hit
Watch
the
out,
town.
ladies. It's old gangrene knee and hemorrhoid neck Delane.
We get into the Ulster. We get off the bus. We're stood. Albert is looking down to the right, walking along.
Miss?
Walking along like fucking Rain Man, like pointing down at the floor. I am limping. My fucking balls still hurt from Adolf's attack. My knee, because it's right on the knee, the plaster thing keeps slipping with every step. So I'm like limping, and I have to sit down every fucking 10 minutes to like rest.
And the whole thing's such a turn on.
We're like, this is the least successful outing on the town that there has honestly ever been.
Yeah.
And we went out, and the thing about German pubs, especially like the Altstadt, is that they're all like really traditional in that you don't pay for your drinks when you order them. Your table runs up a tab and then you go and pay for it at the end.
Okay.
Or you just leave.
You just limp very slowly and
well, this is
infectedly.
It's that we were like, oh well, the first place we went to, we were like, oh, this place is like it's way too expensive. Let's just like go. And our exchange partner was like, oh, yeah, go on then. All right. But are you sure you can like, get out in time? Are you ready to do a runner if necessary? We're like, yeah. Kind of like limping and hobbling our way through.
I'll be able to do it, missus.
Get out. But then we were like, oh, let's just do this at every place. Like, fuck this. Like, we're never coming back to this hellhole.
This is why
they were
don't like British tourists.
Diana and Melina were like, we can never come back here. We were like, yeah, well, we aren't. So, sorry. We keep going. We just got absolutely smashed. Didn't speak to a woman all fucking night.
It was almost like they were just avoiding us.
It's almost like
when we were advertising our total
hobbling in,
freakitude.
hobbling across the street, pub to pub.
Look at that one, Albert. Think she'll rub that hemorrhoid cream in your neck?
Show her where we did it.
Tell her about the primary school. Really gets them going.
They love that over here.
Tiny little sinks. Mirrors the size of postage stamps.
Toilet paper like a fucking post-it. No
like
on
a
a
flip
string.
book for a mouse.
Oh dear. And you know what? I got home and it turned out that my girlfriend hadn't even kept to the promise herself.
No.
Day 3, she'd folded and not even sent me a text.
That's not on, is it? Well, there we go. So concludes one of what you know how Dr. Watson always came up with a nice kind of a study in scarlet. Like, what would this be known as?
As in
in the collection,
the wank in the primary school. the sad wanking tourist.
I think just the sad,
the big sad. The sad and the neck.
How about the monster in Munster?
No,
that's very good.
I don't want any future jury to have
if
that
any
ready to
tabloids
go.
are listening,
The Sun
that's on me.
Fucking already got the headline made.
That's very good indeed. Well,
and I looked like a big white supremacist back then as well, so it would be such an easy sell.
Absolutely, it would.
What with all this evidence?
Really an unforced error in providing it all on the record there. Some have said of the monster of Munster.
Double fault.
Episode 4 of the Netflix series.
Into the net.
The monster's great mistake. Some experts have said proud beneath the surface, like the Loch Ness monster before him.
Before one desperate search for content left him with no option but to commit to the most heinous series of crimes ever recorded for comedic podcast purposes.
Well, I hope you made something of it, guys. I hope you did.
If you'd like to fund the TAS trip to Munster,
the annual
the documentary,
Munstercon.
You cannot call it something Munstercon.
That's a great word.
Oh God! Then feel free to donate to the Patreon. Patreon.com/ShameCity.
Where, normally the concept is that these are the free
we don't
big
commit
apps. Also, that is a key tenet of the TAS brand. But normally you have these like prime episodes, and then for those who want to dangerously rebel from capitalism as a concept and just be like, oh, have this money even though it's free, they get extras. This time you would, if you pay, get a lot more content at the moment. But that's just because we missed one. That balance will be scaling back.
It's already like scheduled to be redressed.
Absolutely, it is, and it's going to be such a powerful redressage. You won't know where to look.
What have they got to look forward to? Should we give like some taste?
For future episodes?
No, for the quick fires. So there was
a dog.
There was the P-Dog files.
Yeah.
There was
baby cops.
There was a little bit about the environment and bags.
Yeah.
There was another one.
I can't remember the life of me what it was, but boy was it there.
Oh, it was good.
So yeah, that's over at patreon.com/ShameCity. And Declan, while we're teasing stuff, why don't you tease some of the future main episodes that we've got coming up?
Oh, there'll be one on Sunday.
Yep.
And
what was going to be like
scheduled after that, I suppose, will be one the Sunday after that. Shame.
Goes without saying.
That's
again, like that's a little bit broad.
Isaac.
So it's going to be an Isaac's focus.
Declan.
Probably you'll be doing like a what's your favourite thing about
I'll
Isaac
probably
quiz.
be doing an interview in the cells.
Yeah, that'll be content. Travel down to Belmarsh.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like, because obviously I did this week, so next week is your content.
Oh, is it?
So,
okay, well, prepare
I
for
think the last
something,
one as well, I think, as well. So
something really off the rails.
Yeah, as opposed to this really on the rails, well structured, legal kind of episode.
Mea culpa, in many ways.
Some would say.
We've got some ways of getting in touch with the show. I can't think off the top of my head why you'd want to, but should the urge
should
strike.
anyone? I think our listeners, they're understanding people first of all, but obviously everyone has a limit.
Yeah,
but I think
50.
people like Toby Milstone's King.
Well, he went in public all the time.
Lives for this sort of content. Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, maybe he does. Look, as long as you're not hurting anyone.
No.
What happens between one consenting adult and a public bathroom is between them and the Lord.
But he often uses the contact form on the website, shame.city/contact.
And tass@shame.city, which will accomplish much a similar effect.
Indeed. You can get in touch via Twitter at That's a Shamecast for the show.
Sometimes if we don't do an episode, we'll tweet, and then sometimes
we will not.
But that's to keep
all
you guys
part of
guessing.
the brand.
Absolutely.
At Isaac BD for Isaac, at DE Delane for myself. And of course, if you want to kind of buzz straight onto my phone with any kind of, deals for some sort of atonement that I could do.
General kind of a program.
Any sort of chastisement that you need to just sort of hurl my way.
Yeah.
If you just kind of want somewhere to send the undercover cops, then shame.city/discord.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Discord.
No, you didn't. You were just talking about it.
I forgot how much I use it. Real hard. Also, last two things. First of all, tell a friend about the show.
Definitely.
Not necessarily this episode or the last, or really any in particular. Tell them about the concept. But I remembered that we've got reviews that we've not mentioned for about 1,000 years. Shame.city/review, all reviews, they both work. And there's a link in your podcast app when you just scroll up and look at the great shame notes that we leave for each episode. Declan toils over those, and I can tell that he does, because when he's written those in Witches, there's a real sense of levity in the room. Like a weight has been lifted from his back. And it's just lovely to see. So that would be appreciated. Episode 143 is going to be, now that I understand the ball to be in my court.
It is, yeah.
Huge.
Wow.
I can say that without even a flicker of doubt.
That's good to know.
Look at my face when I say it. It's going to be big.
He didn't even blink. It's going to be small.
I was winky. It's going to be rubbish. We'll see you next week, won't we?
Bye, guys.
The bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you. necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare necessities, oh Mother Nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder. My new home. The bees are buzzing in the tree to make some honey just for me. The bare necessities of life will come to you.